welcome back to the Camp Chronicles. Today we've got another special guest for you, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Kish, also known as Travel with Kish, and I'm a social media content creator on TikTok. I post about my summer camp experience on TikTok.
So what camp did you actually go to?
So for the last 3 summers, I've been going to Camp Pontiac in New York, in Copiague. Absolutely love it there, literally my second home.
Is it like co-ed, like sleepaway, like sort of typical like parent trap sort of vibes?
Yeah, definitely. It's a traditional co-ed camp. So we have girls' side and boys' side, but then a lot of the activities can be mixed. And then even the activities might be separate, even the activities might be mixed. So yeah, it's a co-ed camp, which I really enjoy.
How did you find out about camp?
So actually, I found out camp through, I was at school and I was in like year 10, 11. And the girl in sixth form at my school actually went. And like she posted on YouTube. So I went through it and I looked and I showed my mum and my sisters. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I really want to do. Because like I was that kid, like binge Disney Channel. I was a Disney kid. Like I went to Disney Orlando like every summer. Like that was me. I was a kid. So then my sister actually mentioned that she wanted to like do that when she was younger, and she did like a UK version of that. So I was like, yeah, as soon as I'm 18, I kind of want to do it. So I just kind of like researched and like went on YouTube and watched like old vlogs and stuff, and kind of just was like, this is something I definitely want to do when I like finish college. So that's the story of how I got into it.
Did you go like fresh when you were 18, or were you kind of a COVID application?
I was a COVID application. So I was meant to go like 18, like literally college over in May, get on that flight in June, goodbye. And yeah, so I made it to literally the visa stage, and then they locked the borders and they were like, no one can come in unless they had like a criteria, and camp counselors weren't urgent on it. They weren't a list of urgent people, even though the camps were fighting to get counselors over, and the actual route was to go through Mexico. But then in Mexico you had the like trouble of your visa probably being declined. So I didn't really want to go through that at 18 on my own, and my mum certainly wasn't going to send me to experience that on my own. So I'm kind of glad I waited, because my camp had a COVID summer. So they had one missed summer and then a COVID summer, and then it was kind of in bubbles and stuff, and I feel like I wouldn't have achieved the experience I did the first time I went. So I ended up going when I was 19, so like a year later.
Did you find actually there was a lot of people at your camp that are younger, or most people like older? Because I feel like I'll be 25 when I go back next year, and I feel like I'm pretty much at the top age range of people that go.
So obviously the senior staff, most of the senior staff and group leaders at my camp are older and have campers at the camp themselves. A lot of them are teachers, and my camp is actually run by a family. So a lot of it is, like I said, family orientated, and a lot of the senior staff are older, group leaders are older, and then everyone else was kind of like some fresh 18s, but everyone was like 19, 20, 21. So everyone was kind of in the midst of a gap year after COVID, or they were in the midst of like trying to sort their life out and doing what they're doing, which was me now. But yeah, so then yeah, kind of a mixture, young and old in the middle. But yeah, most likely the returners were older, and the like new people were kind of like younger ish.
How did you find out about your camp? So you said that you've been to the same one for the past 3 summers.
So my camp was actually just like, I was on an agency and I went through their list, and I was determined to make sure I was going to literally the right place, because I had to literally sell this to my mum. Like I had to sell it to my parents. So I went through the list and I went to every single camp's website and like looked at what they provide. Like I did a spreadsheet. Like I've literally still got my spreadsheet like here. Like I did a massive poster of pros and cons of my top 5 camps. And at the time, like I said, it was during COVID, so there was no fairs. So the agency I was with let you kind of like request 3 camps you were kind of interested in. So yeah, the Pontiac literally like stood out to me, as well as 3 other camps. So I kind of was just like, yeah, just send my applications off to them, and yeah, then I got placed really quickly actually, which was really fun.
Can't lie, I have watched some of your like camp tour type videos, and the facilities there actually do look insane. Like
Yeah,
I remember seeing one of like the gym or something that you've got, and I was like, it's like literally like a country club. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what they call it. There's a girl on TikTok that posts like camp related stuff, content, and they were like, they call Pontiac like the country club of camps, because it's just like a country club.
It was crazy. Do you find that you get like full time like to use all the facilities like in your role? Because I know like at my camp all the general counsellors obviously go around and do all the different activities so they can kind of try everything out, but within your role do you get a chance to do that?
Sort of, like, I kind of knew that would be like a con to my like job role. But like during orientation, my camp makes sure we get to try everything. So we get to do the zip line, we get to do circus, we get to do water park, we get to do activities and stuff. So I do feel like I don't enjoy it as much as a general counselor would, because like you said, they get to go and try everything, and when I'm going there, I'm actually like filming content there. But then on the odd occasion, I put the camera down and I'll just enjoy and have fun. And like more than likely, I know the people running the like thing that's going on, so they will let me have a try, or even they'll say like, oh yeah, we can do it like later in the evening on a night off, or on an evening off, or on a free period. If you want to come down, we'll open it up, you can try, which is always fun.
So many people want to go to camps as a general counsellor, and not so many people really look to go as activities or like
Yeah,
that sort of counsellor, because they're probably worried that they're not going to try everything. So it's nice
yeah,
to know that like most camps that you go to are going to be able to do that. Like they want everyone to still get the same experience, don't they?
yeah, definitely. And the thing is that my camp, which I didn't know till I got there, and there wasn't like much exposure on it. Everyone that's a specialist is also a general. So like when they get a period off, if they're bored and they don't want to sit in the staff room, they can then find what their kids are doing and then take part. Like my kids, one time I had a free period with cooking, so I went in and I joined in and I cooked smash burgers with them. In the evening, so like my camp kind of runs like a school. There's periods in the day, and then once general swim is done, and it's shower hour. After that, every single counsellor is a general, like no matter what your speciality is, unless you're like doing outdoor adventure where you help with the campfire and stuff. But then you get to enjoy even activities, the campfires with your kids, hits, sing, like even activities. You then get to have that fun as well, which I do also really love, because you get the best of both worlds.
What is your role at camp?
So first year I went as a videographer, so that's like filming all the content for the website. And then obviously, like, because I grew my social media over like a year and a bit, I came out my second year as a content creator, social media specialist, and then that's what I did this year. So I actually don't teach kids, and I've never taught kids even as a videographer. So like it went from website stuff to now batch content for the camp to post off season and whilst at camp as well, and ran their like Instagram stories and stuff as well whilst I was there.
We don't actually have anyone that's like necessarily dedicated like social media type counselor at ours. So we've got like the media team. They kind of do all the like photos. Do you have to
Yeah.
do you use Bunk One at all?
It's similar. We use a thing called Companion, which is like
Uh-huh.
basically the same thing. And I kid you not, every day we are putting out over 3,000 photos every single day of these kids. And it's now got like an AI generator thing that picks up like the kid's face. So even if the kid's like in the background, like right in the back, it will pick up and send to their parents. So their parents will automatically get like all the pictures their kids are in, the group leaders are posting, like the owners of the camp are posting, like constant pushing out of photos every single day.
The facial recognition like software on those things is insane, because I know like we obviously use a similar sort of thing, and it'll come up with like photos like that I'm tagged in, and literally I'll be like squinting looking at the
Yep.
photo like where am I, and then I'll finally see myself and I'm like right in the back and it's literally only this much of my face. And
Yeah.
how does it even work? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And I feel like that also, I would say, like, is a good thing for parents to like pick up images of their kids and stuff, but then also puts a lot of pressure on us, because like with our job we have to triple double check like what we're posting on social media, like and also posting on the website Companion, because if their kids in the background, like they may be falling over or look sad for any reason, so if the parent sees that, that can like cause issues and stuff. So like even on my personal account, it's always good to like double check over content you are pushing out, especially if you're doing a social media role, because like you don't want to upset or offend any of the parents.
I was just about to say something similar, because being group leader this year, I was like very on it with the Instagram. I was kind of in charge of the whole thing. And even if other people like on my days off were taking pictures and stuff for the Instagram, I'd still have to kind of double check to make sure, because if there is like one single image where the kid looks like they're tiny bit unhappy
Yeah.
or anything, the parents are straight on like, what's wrong, like is
Yep.
there something up, like, oh, I've noticed say that one of their children aren't wearing like specific clothes that their parents sent for certain events. Like,
Yep.
you've just got to be so careful, and you have to like triple check to make sure that everything you're posting can go live where there wouldn't be an issue from the parents.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you find that it was quite a stressful role actually? Because like the media team again at my camp, like they were on it like pretty much 24/7. Like they'd be up early in the morning, they'd be taking photos all day, they'd be editing videos together, and then because obviously they've got to do all that editing and uploading, like they could be working till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock every night. Like, did you find it was quite stressful?
Yeah, there was times when it was very stressful, and I think this was like mainly when there's like big events going on at camp, or like we had quite a good media team, so we would split in like morning shift, evening shift. So then some will take like the evening, and then some will take the morning. And I feel like this year we were lucky enough. Two of the one videographer and one photographer didn't have to look after any kids, so that means that the people that were in bunk like myself, we could have evenings off because then it meant we could spend time with our kids. But yeah, there was times when I was in the office till like 12:30 in the night, getting content out, editing, especially when it came to like color war stuff.
Yeah.
Social media wise, it was every day. So when breakout happened, I had to be like up, ready, like sneak out of the bunk, like go and film them getting ready, like go over the plan, like do all that, film it, know where to be. Like I was actually running around like a headless chicken, like running, then get that edited and put up so the parents can know that breakouts happened. And then like daily recaps of Colour War for the website, and then which was done by another member, and then me for social media, get that out, turn around. A lot of our content needed approving before it went out as well, so it was also getting that approved through the system. And then like, yeah, so it became like very, very stressful at times, but then also I find it like one of the best and one of the most rewarding jobs, because you know, not only am I known by my kids, but I'm known by like all the kids at the camp, and I build relationships with different kids in different divisions, which is also an amazing thing.
I know, like, my media team at camp, during orientation, it's kind of like their trial run sort
Yeah,
of thing to get used to everything.
yeah.
What, is it similar like that for you during orientation?
Yeah, so orientation, we get to take part in everything, but we also get to grips with the cameras and getting images and stuff. And I actually am in charge of making the staff videos. So what we do is we go around and we film content and stuff for our staff videos, and then we edit that within like 3 days. And then when the kids arrive, we show them the video, but it has to be like fully edited and ready to kind of go. And that video has to introduce all the core staff, all like the lifeguards, away, like every single person. Now, at my camp, orientation's around 10 days. So we have like nearly 2 weeks of just like being a camper, having fun. But first week is only like internationals and American lifeguards and OA, and then the second week the rest of the Americans come. So then we have like a week, not even week, 2-3 days to film everyone that's now officially our staff, get them done, get photos, get videos, bish bash bosh, edit, ready for the campus to go. So yeah, orientation is definitely a trial for the big thing.
Yeah. Would you have any sort of like advice for anyone that is going to do like your similar sort of role to you, whether that just be like media or being videographer or social media?
Yeah, my advice would be, it is a stressful job. Like there are times when it's going to be very, very stressful, and I think that's every single job role at camp. But honestly, don't let it discourage you. I would say this year, which worked well, was me being organized. So I would say definitely, if you can, like when you go to Walmart or bring one from home, like a diary, and write down all your content ideas and just tick them off as you go. Have a calendar with the key events that are coming up at camp, so you can like visually see it and be like, okay, this is happening on this day, this is happening on this day. You know, just try and stay as organized as you can. And obviously there will be times when you will like slip, but like don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like in the end of the day, you're posting like just for a summer camp, and the parents just want to see their kids having fun. They're not expecting like an iMovie or like a film, basically. So just do the best you can.
I think organisation's such a big thing, like for any role at camp, isn't it? I know you have to be somewhat organised, like
Yeah,
whether you're like obviously yourself with all the filming, whether I don't know you're a soccer coach, you need to be planning sessions. If you're a general counsellor, you've got to be organised so you can get your kids to every single activity on time. Like I think organisation is a massive thing at camp, isn't it?
definitely. Yeah, 100%.
And how did you find going back as a returner as well? Like we made a episode on this a few weeks ago, kind of discussing all the different emotions we felt, but how did you find going back to camp as a returner?
So my second summer when I was returning, I just had like the energy of like experiencing camp, like doing it again, but as a returner now. Because I remember like first time you go there, everything is so strange to you and everybody is so strange to you. Like you don't know there's times when you're like, what is actually going on?
Yeah.
So like the second time I was like, it felt nice because, you know, when the kids come off the bus, they hug you, they recognize you, which is so different from your first experience.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like seeing all the staff that are like from different countries, like being reunited in that space again is very like nice and very just like, it can be overwhelming as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but I really like enjoy that part, and like being able to see my kids again and just experience it as a returner. But also there are some emotions where you now have it, something to compare to. Like your first summer, you don't have anything to compare it to, whilst the second summer, you kind of look back, compare certain things to your first summer, if that makes sense. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. And also friendship group dynamics change as well. Like, you know, that's a big thing. Like, you could be close to someone your first summer, and the second summer you might drift away, or, you know, make brand new friends. So that can also be like a thing that can kind of like be a thought in your head as well, which I think a lot of people secretly struggle with, that they don't really talk about. And then, well, coming back as a third year now, it was like a bit different, I would say, because you've already been a returner and you've already been a first timer. So now it's like coming back to a third year, and I feel like for my third time, I definitely felt like camp was a job, but like that's not a negative thing. But like now it's like you've come back to somewhere so familiar. Like it just felt like I woke up and just like went to work, if that makes sense. But it still has its excitements, it still has its things. But this year camp went literally so quick. Like I couldn't even explain it, because I knew what was coming up. I was like, visiting day, yeah, camp is basically over. We're getting on that bus, like camp is over. So I feel like as you return, things just speed up quicker and quicker and quicker.
I totally agree with you on that one about this summer being like going so fast, like literally blink of an eye. It felt like it went. Whereas I think my second summer, I felt like it kind of dragged a little bit, because I did know what was coming up and what was happening. But I kind of had like a different experience going back my second summer. I still loved camp, loved everything about it,
Yeah,
but I kind of knew everything that was going to happen, so I didn't necessarily always have the exact same excitement as what I did the first summer. But
yeah,
then going into my third summer, it just felt like what you said. For me, it was kind of a mixture of first summer feelings and second summer feelings together, because everything was so familiar. I knew what was
yeah,
going on. But then I had the excitement back, because I kind of realised that I can't like expect everything to happen the same way and all the feelings to be the same.
yeah, definitely.
I took off that expectation on things and kind of let loose my third summer, and I felt like it just went by so fast. Like before
Yeah,
I knew it, it was visiting day. And like you said, when it's visiting day, you know it's pretty much home time.
yeah, it's crazy.
And once it gets to visiting day, that's the worst. I know, like in the one of the rooms at like up on girls' side, they had like a massive whiteboard, and like they had like wrote down like every single event that was happening basically over the summer, and they would cross off each day. And every time I'd go in and I'd see another day crossed off, I'm like,
Yeah,
no, no, no. And like the kids have obviously got certain things that they're looking forward to. Like I had the older kids, so they go on trips, so
yeah,
they're kind of like counting down the weeks, wait until they go on the trip. You go on the trip with them, and then by the time you come back, you're like, oh my god, that's another week of camp just gone.
literally like that.
Everything it just snowballs. It goes so quick, doesn't it? Even though the days feel really long, everyone says this, the days feel so long because so much happens, but then the weeks and the months
Yeah,
feel so short.
the days are long, but the months are short.
And was there anything that kind of like going into your second summer, like you were worried about or anything, or your third summer that you were worried about?
I think I was probably just like more nervous about being in the same space, and like you said, you've experienced everything the first summer and it was so good, and then you're like, oh, will it be the same next year? Like, what's going to happen next year? Like, what's going to change next year? Because obviously things change naturally. It's like if you went into work every single day there was new stuff, like when you know, it's a thing for you to like get used to. And like I said, friendship dynamics change, friendship groups change, and when you hold such a memory of your like first summer, you kind of hold on to that. And if you don't let your someone said, if you don't let yourself go, like, and just not think about it, then you're going to be constantly comparing yourself every single day, like, oh well, I had fun at this last year but I didn't have fun this year, like, why is that? Like, you'll go into this trail and you dig yourself a hole. So I just think like definitely that's what I went in with, the mentality of just like having fun. It's my second summer, what will happen basically.
I think like people need to realize as well, don't they? Like, camp's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
Like, although you're going and everything's so exciting, you're not always going to have a great day. Like, it's the same when you're at home. Like,
Yeah.
so if you go back to camp as a returner, or even when you're going for the first time and you're not having a great day and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe last year I was here, every single day was great. The reality is it's probably not that every single day was great.
But
You'll have good days, and then sometimes you will have bad days, but I think people try and block out the bad days, and then when you go back to camp and you kind of re-experience the bad days, then that's
yeah.
when you compare it and you think, maybe I'm not having as much fun as I did last year, but
Yeah.
there will be down days, won't there?
Definitely. I feel like that's just a natural like thing to go on. Like camp, yeah, like you said, isn't always there's bad days. There's days when you're like missing home. There's days when you're tired, you're literally tired and exhausted, like you're in the sun, like and you have that lack of personal space. So it's not like I feel like when you have a bad day at home, you can just isolate yourself kind of like in your room or whatever, or go out. Whilst at camp, especially overnight camp, sleepaway camp, like you're in a bunk with like 30 other girls screaming, shouting, blow drying their hair, showering, music blasting. Even if you go in the staff room, there's people sleeping, talking to home, doing their laundry. Like, there's actually no kind of like place that's kind of just like just you. So I feel like that's why it's so important to talk and be vocal at times when you're feeling like this, because more than likely someone's feeling exactly the same with you. And sometimes you just need to like talk and waffle to someone and get it all out, and then like you feel so much better.
I think as well, the nice thing about camp is you can talk to pretty much anyone. I don't know if you found this, but
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be like the people that you may be closest with. It literally could be like, I don't know, like random Sally who you don't really see very often, but like you might just be sat together and then you just end up having like this conversation, and 9 times out of 10, like you can talk to anyone and like they'll kind of listen to you and reciprocate. I think because everybody, it's such like a shared kind of communal experience, isn't it, going to camp, that everyone or someone's going to have had the same emotions as you, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. Especially like you said, like camping, you just if you've done it, you get it, basically. Like, there's things like you've experienced, like I said, it's like being on Big Brother and Love Island and like Squid Game all at the same time. But like you're just like in that bubble, like you said, they've probably experienced it, maybe on a different day to you. And it's kind of refreshing to sometimes talk to someone that isn't your friend. Like I found myself at times when I'd be in the staff room and someone that I'm not necessarily the closest to, I just sit on the sofa next to them and be like, oh, how was your period off? Or like, what are you doing? And then we just end up talking. It's just like nice and refreshing. And like sometimes if you're having a bad day and someone just asks you like, are you okay? Like that person could not be your friend, like you said, but the fact they've asked you if you're okay can literally make your day, and you can do a full 180. And I feel like you said, that's such a precious thing about camp. Like everyone's low-key just like a family. Like with your family, you don't have to talk to your family every day, but when you see your family, they're your family, if that makes sense.
I don't know if you've found this, but just talking about kind of like friendships and stuff at camp, when I actually look at it now, during orientation, I find that everyone kind of like finds their little groups and they talk and stuff. But then naturally, when you get put into your divisions, kind of friendships start splitting away from each other. And then it's
100.
actually not until you figure your days off where you actually do find your people, because you might have been best friends with Jess, but Jess might be on a Thursday a day off and you're on a Wednesday a day off. And although you can kind of speak to them and see them a lot around camp, you find that kind of the closest friends and the people that you hang out with the most tend to be the people that have like the same nights and days off as you. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've found this at your camp.
Yeah, definitely the same. I feel like you said, orientation, everyone just kind of like groups up. Even like, I feel like this even low-key comes from like the airport as well. Like from like the people that have arrived at the same time, you kind of, they've had more chat. And then like the people you sit next to on the coach, and then the people like at my camp during orientation, you just put in like random bunks. So like, the people that you're in your bunk with that you tend to like get up and go to breakfast to, and then like kind of forms. But then what I like about my camp is we get put into groups that are different from our bunk. So like we get put into like 4 groups, and then you rotate and doing different activities, and that kind of gets mixed up as well. And then they do like a lot of icebreakers in different teams. So like it's a chance to get to know everyone, and I feel like that was at its fullest this year, because we did like Olympics, so we got put into countries, and then every night we would do like volleyball or like basketball or whatever. So it was really, really fun. But like you said, divisions get split up, you have different times off, you have different periods off. Lower camp is more like, expectational heavy, meaning counsellors have more time at the campus because they need to do more, like, getting them ready, putting them to bed. Whilst older kids, you know, as a counsellor, it's a bit more chilled out. Even when they're like doing their free time, they're just out and about on campus, while these ones have to be like in a certain area at a certain time. So I feel like definitely, like you said, days off, you're spending a lot of hours with them on your day off, and you tend to get close with them. Like some people who on my day off, I wasn't friends with in orientation. So it's just kind of a thing of like not having an expectation that these are their friends you make during that week are going to be the friends for the rest of your summer, if that makes sense.
I think that's why it's so important, isn't it? Like during orientation, to put yourself out there and talk to as many people as possible. Like it is literally so easy to kind of like get to orientation, find a few people that you can talk to easily and then just stick with them. But like we're saying, you could get not necessarily separated, like you're never going to see them again, but your schedules might not overlap that much. So talking to as many different people and trying to remember as many names as well during orientation, I think is so important. I mean, I don't know, like at your camp if it's the same, I'm assuming it will, but all the staff have like lanyards or name badges. So if you do forget someone's name, then, you know, it'll be on the lanyard. But I think that's like a really important bit as well, because it just helps you like make more personal connections with people. Like if you can go up to someone and be like, oh, like you haven't spoken to them that much, but be like, oh yeah, that's Summer who coached volleyball, that's Kish who does like the media, like it just makes it that little bit more special, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you don't limit yourself to like, you know, because camps can't please everyone. At my camp, we request 3 to 4 people that we want to have on a day off. They also have to like fully like put in the spreadsheet. Like they were stressing because, you know, my schedule is different to, like you said, a volleyball coach. So, you know, like they have to also work off with their speciality, but also like the coverage in the bunk. So like if all you people want Thursday off with these people, but then that's going to have like one counsellor in the bunk, which is illegal. So like the camp tried to do their best to put you with your friends and a group of friends, but then obviously like you might not end up with them. So it's always good to have someone familiar that you can kind of like talk to. So definitely it's easier said than done. Orientation, get yourself out there, try and talk to as many people as you can, find similarities with people, and you know, once you get into the groove of it, it's pretty simple. Yeah, me and my friends, our second year, we didn't want to be those clicky returners. Like we did not want to be those clicky returners. So every day we would sit at a different table for breakfast. So like we would just like sit at a random table and be like, "Oh hi, I'm Kish," and then and like and get to know different people, because it was easy to just sit with your returner friends because like, oh my god, it's the first time we've been together in like a year. Like, but then I remember being on the outside and seeing that and being like, oh, like I did not want to do that. So I think definitely, even as a returner, still get yourself out there. Don't limit yourself to your friends that you made last year.
I don't know if you have ever had this experience, and I'm kind of like baiting myself out saying this, but obviously you meet so many people during orientation, don't you? And like everybody's wearing the lanyard, so it's kind of easy that when you do that awkward look down and look up and then like to see the name. But I don't know if you have ever done this, but like you'll get to like week 4 or 5 during the summer, and you're like you've had a conversation with someone for so many times, but gets to a point where you just can't remember their name, and then you can't actually ask them like, oh, what's your name, because you've had so many conversations with them. That I think that happens to me every year at least once or twice, and it's so awkward.
Yeah, I definitely, I just think that happens as well. That's happened to me. Like you literally like made a connect, not really, you made a connection with them. You've seen them, you've had so many convos, but sometimes it just literally slips your mind because people forget how many names you actually have to remember at camp. Like, bearing in mind your 30 odd campers that you might have in your bunk, number one, and then like your co-counselors, and if you've not spent a lot of time with someone, it can easily slip away to the back of your mind. But it is very awkward in that situation.
Nothing honestly amazes me more. So like my camp directors and like the owners, Jeff and Cindy, they know literally like every single kid by name. They'll be like, oh yeah, this kid's from here and they go to school with this kid and this is this friendship group, and oh yeah, these are their parents and these people's parents are friends. They'll talk like they'll know every single one by name. They'll greet pretty much nearly every single staff member by name. Like the amount of names they must hold in their head, like I genuinely don't understand. And I know it's obviously like easier because they'll see like the same kids every single summer and they deal with them out of just being at camp, like with the messaging parents and stuff. But like every year I'm just like bewildered. I'm like, how do you remember all these people?
It literally blows my mind. Like the owners know, and the group leaders, they know every single camper's name, first name and last name, like you said, family members, what state they're from, and then I'm like, and they will know the counsellors' names like from like orientation, I remember getting off the bus and one of the group leaders like saying to these girls, these American girls, like, oh, hi this. And I was like, they've only just come off. They've only just arrived at camp for like 10 seconds and you already know their names. And she's like, yeah, you were on the flight. She told her what flight she was on. And I was like, how do you remember that? She's like, oh yeah, when I was like looking to make sure everyone came in on time. And I was like, their memories must be insane. And even past, like when they would tell stories about past counselors, they'll still remember their name. They'll be like, so and so from Scotland that worked here in 1972. And I'm like, how? Oh yeah, we did like a colour war quiz, and some of the knowledge. Who was colour war general in 19? Like, how do you know who was colour war general in 1999 for the white team? Like, how is that in your brain? Don't know it. And like, this is what I mean. Like, camp is a special place. People eat, breathe, and sleep these places, which I think makes it so like magical. I think that is like the element and aspect that I love so much about camp because it is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. It is, and I think it shows as well just how much like they care. Like I think so many places you could go and work or have a job and you kind of just feel like, oh, you're just another staff member, like they don't really care. Whereas like I feel like you go to camp and they do care about everyone.
Yeah.
They also care about the children. And actually I found this, like thinking about it the other week when we were just kind of discussing this on a podcast episode, about people that maybe go and don't enjoy camp as much.
Yeah.
I still, even if you think like, oh, the camp disregarded me, they didn't care about me, they will still have cared about you. And
Yeah.
the number one thing I think for camps is that they care so much about the children. Like when you're looking after these kids, like they're someone's pride and joy, that maybe if you're not doing as great of a job as a counsellor, the main focus has to be the kids. So
Yeah.
if another staff member is telling you like, you know, you need to step up this, that and t'other, they'll take that as like, oh well, they don't care about me, they're not like being very nice to me. But no,
Yeah.
like the kids are at the forefront, so
Definitely.
they have to have the kids, like that's the main focus, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think at my camp, especially like during orientation, when we have like the meetings, like that is the longest part, but the most important part. Like we'll sit through hours of meetings and, you know, safeguarding. And it's like really important to listen and really important to take note because the camps will hint things at you. For example, like they will say, the child is more or less like always right in a situation, unless obviously they're not. But like, do you know what I mean? Like if they write home that certain things happened, like, oh, my counselor's like took my snaps from under my bed, that parent's gonna phone it and be happy, and you're gonna be in the wrong. So they're telling you to like not put yourself in those situations, and it's so important to like, you know, listen to what they're trying to tell you because they are trying to save you. Basically, they're trying to tell you like, do you know, don't put yourself in a position or an awkward position where you cannot get out of it, or just simple things like, you know, going to the toilet, always go with another a counselor, like the rule of two, just simple things like that to kind of just keep yourself like monitored. Maybe like imagine sending your kid off to a different country, different state, or like even like 3-4 hours away for 7 weeks, like, and the camp sole priority is to look after them, like you said. And like if you are being lazy, if you're not bonding with the kids, if you're not making an effort with the kids, if you're not being a counselor, they're going to call you up on it because you know you're obviously needed there for a reason. And like it's good if someone calls you out before they do, if that makes sense. You know, and I feel like people just automatically like take a negative spin on it, like you said, oh, they don't care for me, they're being horrible. And you know that could be the cases in some places, but like most of the times they're looking out for the kid. Because the kid will, like, it's stupid to think a kid's not going to tell their parents or go home and tell their parents when they see them, this counsellor did this, this counsellor said this happened. So like I think, like you said, the camps do have your best interest like at heart, even if it might not feel like that at the time.
I think it's so easy to kind of, because I know as group leader I give like a lot of constructive criticism, and I think it's so easy for people on the other side to kind of get defensive. But
Yeah.
I like when someone's coming to you with constructive criticism, it's so important to listen to what they're saying and take it on board, because that person just wants you to do better and be the
Yeah.
best counsellor that you can be so that you can get the best experience possible. And I think
Yeah.
it's so natural for a lot of people, and I've seen it over the past couple of years, to get defensive in these situations. But like we're saying, these people just care about you, they care about the kids, and they want to make the most out of the experience for the both of you. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why that constructive criticism like gets brought up.
Definitely. I think like, it's camp can be a very high intense like environment, but then I feel like you said, you're trying to say it to make them a better person, a better counselor. And I feel like a lot of people that do have a bad time at camp sort of going with an expectation, which is obviously like hard to not go in with an expectation. Like when I went, there was, I think Vic was posting on social media and a few YouTube, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So I had nothing to compare my like experience to, and be like, oh, at this camp they're doing this. Like I don't know. So I feel like that's definitely what made camp my first summer like amazing. Like I can't even describe it, because I didn't go in thinking like this is what it's going to be like. And I feel like people do that unconsciously, but like if I could give advice, like try not to go in with an expectation, and try to stay off social media as well. Like it's easier said than done, but like going into camp, like enjoy it. Don't be looking at what other camps are doing and what other people are doing at camp. Like enjoy and live in the moment. And I feel like if you get stuck in with everything, if you like do the staff talent show, go on the zip line, go in the water park, do the fun run, like volunteer to do stuff. When they have a magician, like I went up and got hypnotized by a magician, like, and it was the funniest thing ever. But like go in and like have fun, be a kid, like do those stuff, because I feel like that really enhances your experience rather than just like sitting on the sidelines and like being boring.
I'm going to go totally off topic, but when you're saying about being hypnotized, I always wonder, right? So I think most camps probably have the same sort of evening activities. What was the hypnotist guy called? Was it Brad?
I can't remember. He's been on
Wait.
like Britain's Got Talent or something.
Oh, our hypnotist guy is Brad Henderson, and he comes every year. And then we also have a guy who does like extreme Simon Says, and I think he's Simon Hyman or something.
That sounds
Wait,
fun.
we have both of them activities too. Like I'm really curious to know if
If it's the same.
yeah.
Where's your camp based actually? I've just thought like, because mine and Summer's camps are like mine's New York, hers is Pennsylvania, but like we're not really that far. Like she does a day trip during orientation to come to the mall. That's right next to my camp. Is yours like, whereabouts is your camp?
So mine's in Copiague, so upstate New York. So it's like we are kind of, we're like 2 hours train drive from the city, but we're kind of in a really good area. Like Walmart is actually like 40 minutes. We've got shopping center, TJ Maxx, Five Below. We're like an hour and a bit from Timberlake. Like we do intercamps with Timberlake. So Timberlake come to our camp, we go to Timberlake, and Kindering as well. Like quite a lot of the overnight camps come to our camp. We're kind of in the same facility area near Albany, really.
There's like places that we've both been called like Skinner's Falls and stuff. Do you do like trips to Skinner's Falls, or is that too far for you?
I think I've not been to Skinner's Falls. We've got one called like Catskill Falls that's near us, but I think some councillors might have like drove there on a day off, because it does kind of ring a bell. But then our camp owns part of a marina down the road called Copiague Lake, and you can rent boats on that marina. So people will just like spend the day and rent a boat and like go out and do stuff. Great Barrington, we've got Lake George, got loads of stuff near us.
That's so cool. I'm gonna be like on my days off, I'm gonna be like coming up to your lake to rent a boat.
Yeah, it's that's where the kids actually do banana boating and jet skiing. Like, cause our lakes, we kind of share the lake with a camp opposite us. So like, to enable us to do it to the fullest, they will do all like the boat stuff there. But then like when they want to do jet skiing and water skiing, they get on a little bus, go down the road, and then they get to spend money at Mosquito, which is like what we call the place, and they do some really good milkshakes. Oh my god, so good.
Actually, camp food, that's another big thing. Is the food at camp good? Like your camp food?
Yeah, like this year it was giving very much very good. Like the hash browns are so good. The granola, I took a bag home of this granola. I don't know what is in it. Like I tried to find it online because I'm
Just
obsessed with it.
sugar.
Yeah,
Pure sugar.
yeah, probably. Yeah, so like we've got a salad bar that like goes on, and we've got fruit. Then we've got cereals for breakfast. We'll do like hash browns, muffins, waffles. Dinner we'll have like chips, nuggets. Every day there's pasta and rice every day, like because we've got a special counter for kids that are like fussy eaters and kids that have like dietitian needs. But yeah, camp food is very repetitive. Like it's repetitive. You're not at a 5-star restaurant, but it's actually kind of good, and I find myself missing camp food at times.
It's nice not having to think about what to eat. I think that's my favourite part, is that when I go to camp, like my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, like you were saying, there'll always be like the same sort of things that are always out for those meals. I'm good just going, I just literally got to go and serve myself a plate. I don't have to think about what I'm eating. I don't have
Yeah,
to do the washing up. It's
exactly.
lovely. It's so nice. I love it.
Is there any like camp traditions that like stick out for you in your mind that you kind of love?
I absolutely love hits. Hits is like my favorite thing to experience. Do you do hits at your camps?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
Unless it's called something different. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, so hits basically like you have lower camp and upper camp, and then
Mhm.
the two divisions will go against each other, and basically you just make a sketch show about like general life that's going on at camp, like gossip, like
Mm.
anything that's going on at camp. So yeah, they perform it, and then there'll be like a winner, but they have a theme. So this year, like my kids' theme was like hits at the Capitol. So basically like the president. So we had two
Yeah.
kids that like stood at a stand, and then they'll be talking about like at Pontiac this week, blah 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 blah. If I'm president, I will say this, this, and this, and then they like perform a sketch, and it's so funny because there's no like limit to what they can
Mhm.
do. And last year actually surprised me. Like I was in other groups' hits, so it was like we have an influencer camp mum that works at my camp. So then it was like battle of the TikTokers. So like one girl had like I don't even know where she got this like summer camp merch from, and she had her
Uh-huh.
phone out, and then she's like, "Hi guys, no, they got me to film a voiceover, but I didn't know what it was for. They got a voiceover from my
Oh
video,
my
and it was
God.
like." She's like, "Hi guys," she was miming, "Hi guys, I travel with Kish," and then they did the other one, and then they put on like boxing music, and then they like were pretending to like fight each other, and then I ended up winning, and it was like battle of the TikTokers. But it's so funny. Like it goes through a journey.
Do a similar thing, but it's like maybe it's done slightly differently. So like during college week, which is one of our like colour wars, the camp's like split into 4 different colleges, and each group they do it like homecoming. So they'll do a skit, and it has to have each age division will do like some sort of dance in it. It'll
Yeah,
be sometimes based off like a movie. So for example, the yellow team, I can't remember what college the yellow team was this year, but anyways, they did it based on like Inside Out. But they're so outrageous. Like
yeah,
they'll be like the oldest boys, so they're like what 15, 16, and they'll come up on stage, and they're like they've got their tops, and they've like cropped their tops, and they're like dancing to Sexy Red, and they're miming, and they're like twerking on stage, and it's just like crazy, and you're like, what is going on? And then like you're saying, they'll have all the like little inside camp jokes that if
yeah,
anybody outside of camp was watching it, they'd be like, this is
yeah. They're like, "What
awful.
is that?"
But when you're there and you're experiencing it, it's like it's actually hilarious.
Yeah, especially when they're talking about like they'll be talking about like my camp is like the campers are brave. They'll be like for this year they said, "Oh, there's like a hot new tennis coach," and then like
Mhm.
one of them was dressed as a tennis coach, and they were like pretending to play tennis, and then they had like all the girls link arms with him, and like he was blowing kisses at them, they were fainting, and I was looking at him, and he was like, "There's no limit." I think that's what makes it like so funny as well, because like even
Mhm.
the owners are like they will be in the skit. Like there's it's just really funny. It's one of my favorite things about like the camp, that tradition.
Mm.
During Colour War, we used to do skit, but it kind of got a little bit out of hand because the kids very much go at kind of like the directors and the head of girl side and head of boy side and stuff. So it didn't necessarily get banned, but like it kind of changed what
Kind of
you're
did.
allowed to do. But during I don't know if you do something called sing,
Yeah,
but
we do
Mhm.
sing.
yeah, but during boys sing, usually the oldest boys, so like the teens and CITs, they'll do a skit. So someone will pretend to be like Andy and Wendy, who's like the camp directors, and like you don't realize until like moments like that how much the kids actually pick up on, and like
Yeah,
they'll be impersonating them, like they'll be trying to do Andy's accent and stuff like that, and like they'll dress like them. It's so funny. I love boys skit because girls side take it so seriously, like it's like ran like drills almost, whereas boys side just like don't care. They've still got the papers up with like the lyrics on and stuff, and like boy side's always just so much funnier than what girl side is because it's not serious and it is them literally just like ripping it into like everybody that works at camp. It's so funny.
That's interesting because we used to do boys sing at my camp like years ago, but like now singing is like a girls only event, and a lot of the boys stuff is just like sports based, which I think is really nice that they get to also like do sing, which I think is kind of funny.
The boys don't take it seriously at all. Like they'll literally practice 2 days beforehand, whereas girls is like 4 weeks beforehand. Like when camp
Yeah,
starts, you're already thinking of the theme, you're already thinking of the music for
dance.
the dances and the almas and the march and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But sing's done totally different for us. Like sing is done during Olympics, and rather than it being like boys versus girl, it's country versus country. It's like the very last event we do of Olympics before the winners get announced and everything like that. And like one team, do you do it actually, right? I don't know if this is a camp specific thing. When one team has to get up, so like the captains, lieutenants, and the camp captains all stand up at the front and they'll go. So that
oh yeah,
so to get them to
yeah,
rise, yeah. And then when they sit, they have to go,
yeah.
and they're like dead silent.
Yeah, I think so. We have sing, we have upper camp sing, lower camp sing, and then we have colour wall sing, which is very similar to you. It's the last event at colour wall, and it's like the two teams, and then you like do your armor, you do your march as well. Like this year was actually really good, and then you do your plaque. So then they reveal like the team plaque, and then you have to like clap and stand up. Like some of the stuff is actually crazy, like talking about it, and like in sing rehearsals they were so strict. They're like, guys, I waited for this opportunity my whole entire life. Like, but they're not lying. Like, as a camper, I've always wanted to do this. And then, like, when we're learning the songs, like, they do like the hand actions. So they'll be like, pause, like this is pause, and then they'll be like,
Yeah.
It's this, isn't it? It's like
1, 2.
yeah, 1, 2, 3. And I kid you not, like, this is like an inside joke with all international counselors. Because anytime we would be like, we'd hear a song, we'd be like,
Wait, if anybody's listening to this on Spotify, you need to go over and watch it on YouTube so you can see the hand actions that we're doing as well.
like, it's so funny. And like the different in Colorado as well, I think a lot of the old traditional camp like traditions come through. The weirdest one is when we'll do like flag football, and then they will do like gestures. They'll be like touchdown. So like they'll get all the it's so funny. They'll get all the kids to stand up, and then they're like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, touchdown, and then they put their arms down. 1, 2, 3, sit down. Like
It's so random.
I don't get it, but like I like that they've kind of kept tradition going out through that.
I think tradition is such a big thing at camp. There's so many things that are done for tradition. Actually, that's also like one of my favorite traditions is Bucket Brigade. I don't know if you have Bucket Brigade at all.
yeah,
No,
we
I
do.
don't.
During colour wall we
Basically,
do.
yeah, on our camp, where like there's a lake, boy side is on the bottom, and then you have to go up a hill to get to girls side. So there's like a road that runs around the lake and then goes up the hill. And basically during Olympics, you'll have like white team on one side, blue team on the other side, all like lined up in like upper camp, lower camp, upper camp, lower camp. But it's only the girls that do it. And they basically get given like cups, buckets, like t-shirts, like loads of random little things. There's one person that stands in the lake that fills up the items with lake water, and then they have to get passed all the way up the line to the top, where there's these like massive like bucket bin things with a ping pong ball in it, and there's two people that are at the very top that are like the runners that are allowed to go and pour the water out into the top, and it is the most intense thing ever. Like I feel bad for the little kids because they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't understand it. But like the older ones are getting so into it.
Yeah,
It's so much
that
fun.
sounds so fun. Like we do during colour war, we do like tug of war that everyone does. Counselor tug of war. Like the Debs, the youngest ones, are doing tug of war. Like if you look at my videos, you'll see like everyone's like pull the rope, and these are literally like 6-year-olds. Like we're literally watching 6-year-olds pull rope. And then we've got Apache, which is really fun. Which is basically like imagine a massive like not kind of like a relay race, a salt court race across the whole camp. It's like
Ooh.
70, 80 stages long. Someone will start at the entrance, they will run, they'll pass the baton to someone who has to like hop on one leg, to someone that has to like, you know, walk around the pool and sing happy birthday, then walk backwards and sing happy birthday backwards. Some of the stuff that they get to do is crazy. That is probably the most stressful and fun thing to ever film, because I'm literally filming, then we jump on a golf cart and then they're like putting their foot down to the next station and have to get off. Like I'm like, get back on, go, get back on, go. And then it ends in the glory run, which is like the run around the whole camp. So that's like a major thing. And everyone kind of joins in on the glory run as they go along. it's amazing. Like it's insane. I don't know how they plan all this stuff. Like it's beyond me.
Do you know what? I find that a lot of times at camp, a lot of planning goes on behind the scenes, but then you don't actually find out what's happening until the last second. And you're thinking, how the hell is this all going to pull together? But somehow it does.
Yeah, we have these two specific people at our camp. One of them is an ex-camper. He comes in to purely do colour wall. So like his job is to he spends the rest of the year planning colour wall, and then he comes in and like when you see him, like you know like colour walls, something's going on.
Happen.
And the fact I can tell he spends a year planning it because like the stuff that goes on is insane.
Talking about planning and like planning over the whole year type of thing. How do you plan your after camp travels? Because I know I personally plan it while I'm at camp, and I stick by this. I think it's the best way possible to plan your travels. What do you do?
Definitely 1000,000,000% plan it at camp. Like, you know, it's hard for me in the first summer because I'm like, wasn't spontaneous. I wasn't like, I needed to know everything that was going on every second hour. But then I feel like camp really put me out of my comfort zone with that because, like I said, camp is unpredictable. So, like, it was so fun, like, sitting and planning where we wanted to go with the friends I made. And I would have regretted so much. And I know people that made pre camp plans and lost out on money because they just decided they wanted to go like with the people that they made friends with. So definitely like plan it at camp. It was like the last maybe 2-3 weeks, and we just went in the staff room and we just kind of like, you know, planned where we wanted to go. So definitely save it till you're at camp.
Yeah. Where's your like top place that's on your destination list for next year? Do you have somewhere that you're like, I really want to go here?
Oh yeah, I want to go to Yellowstone so bad. Like I want to do
Same.
Yellowstone.
That's where we.
See
That's
you
where I
there.
want to go.
Mad.
I know. We'll just a little meet up in Yellowstone.
Like Yellowstone is one of them. I did Grand Canyon, which was amazing, and I did Yosemite as well. So I definitely like Yellowstone. Just looks so good, and I really love Utah as well. Like Utah is so underrated. Salt Lake City, guys, is actually really underrated.
Utah's amazing.
Yeah.
Like we did a road trip kind of like around Utah and like California and stuff like that. But like there's so many different like landscapes. Like obviously
Yeah,
in Salt Lake City, you go to the salt plains and stuff. It's a
yeah,
city. Then driving out to it, and we went to Moab. And like as you drive into Moab, it's just like all the scenery just like kind of changes, and then it's like all orange and like feels like you're on Mars and stuff. It's a
yeah.
beautiful place, isn't it?
I think that was such a reset for me. Like obviously coming from Vegas, like lights, skyscraper, like to Utah. Like I think when I came out of Salt Lake City, there was literally like a mountain. I was like, what? Like we have come for like what? Like this is people's view every day, and we were in the Uber like looking out the window like amazed, and it was like such a nice reset. And I think it's so important when you're traveling. Like you want to bash out all these places, but try and just get one place in there that's like a reset. Like it's not like a big major like city you're going out every night, every day. Like it's so important to also have those rest days because you've been going full blast for how many weeks at camp, and like your body just eventually need a break.
I remember like being in New Orleans, and it was, or New Orleans, however people say it, and like the weather was so bad, and also I don't know if either of you have been, but it's such a sketchy place. Like I've genuinely felt unsafe there, and we'd been out the night before, so we were like, we'll just stay in. We sat in the Airbnb all day, and we watched movies, and we watched a Hannah Montana movie, and we sat on the pull-out sofa bed like crying, watching Hannah Montana. And like it wasn't anything crazy, but like that's just such a fond memory. So like you're
Yeah,
saying, it is nice to just have those chill days when you're traveling, because it can get stressful living out of a suitcase and
yeah.
around everywhere.
Like every 3 days when you're traveling, more or less every 3 days you're like going somewhere else. So like those days definitely the best. Like when we were in Utah, we because it had like a kitchen and everything, it was so nice. We baked like dinner, we baked cookies, then we sat and watched High School Musical because the next day we were going to East High
Yeah.
to see it. So it was just like so nice, just like sitting there with our warm cookies, like on the sofa bed, pull out sofa bed and just like watching movies. So I feel like that's such a core memory for me. Like more than the memories of like going out all the time. Like I cherish that kind of on top of that, which is really good.
So my final question is, before we get into a part 2 and a part 3, I feel like we could do a whole series with you, Kish. We're loving this whole podcast. What kind of would you tell yourself if you could now as a first timer?
I think I would tell myself to not be scared. Like it's easier said than done, but like honestly, don't be scared. Enjoy the summer to the best you can. Like I thought, like I already said, I had an amazing summer, and I feel like if I went in not scared, I could have even enhanced that experience. So definitely, I would tell myself like, go in it, don't be scared, try all the things you want to try. Do you know what I mean? And it's gonna be the best experience of your life, and you're gonna do it again, and you're gonna make a TikTok about it.
It's a common experience between us all.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kish, for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you, guys.
We've absolutely loved having you on, and we can't wait to do a part 2. Who knows, a part 3, a whole series. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll see you next week for a new episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.